morning. Welcome to this week's episode of A Million Cuts. As we know, we're captivating entrepreneurs nationwide every Wednesday. I'm Nick, for those of you who may not know me. And we're all about connection, presentation, and education here at A Million Cuts. Our mission, as we know and talk about often, is that we're trying to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all types of new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States, and then more specifically here in Western North Carolina. Thank you, as always, to our wonderful volunteer organizing team. It takes a village, and also thank you to the community that also shows up regularly. But special thanks to Eric, Bill, Sarah, Nick, Siobhan, Sean, Ray and Paula, and Brian. So thanks everybody. Look at those nice smiling faces. It's wonderful. Okay, ground rules. We have a presentation. I'm really excited with today's presentation and Paul. But it's about a 20-minute long presentation. And then we have Q&A, and we'll have a mic being passed around. It's important to raise your hand to ask a question, and I'll bring you the mic. And then, try to keep it to one question per person. That's pretty nice. And then move around the room and get a bunch of questions. That's the ground rules. Some announcements. We are seeking one additional organizer with tech and video skills. As we all know, we're in the bring your own mug era of serving our Million Cups coffee. We do have paper cups, but we also ask if you can bring mugs from home, which a lot of people actually do. People that have brought their own mugs, let's just cheers. Wow, look at that. It's over 50%. All right, cheers.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay, also, let's get into the 70%. Okay, take note, so we're still in July. Next week, we're going to have Million Cups. But then for all of August, we're going to go on a break. So if you come here in August, there won't be an event. It'll just be you. Yeah. Okay, we'll do it later. Okay, so let me do a really smooth transition here. Thank you. Okay. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Paul today. Paul is a new but committed member of the Million Cups community. Oh yeah. And maybe you just start with reset it. Okay, so as we can see, loaded. Heart of the Tale is what we're going to be hearing about today. Paul is a wonderful new member of the Million Cups community, and I'm just overjoyed for you all to hear his business and his business journey. So everyone, please give a warm Million Cups welcome. Here's Paul.
My name is Paul, and I play games for a living. Well, actually, maybe that's not quite right. I facilitate and run games for a living. I tell exciting and engaging stories for a living. That's still not quite it. No, I inspire and empower people through epic and engaging role-playing experiences. And so what does that mean exactly? Role-playing games, role-playing experiences. What do you mean Dungeons and Dragons? Isn't that some kind of video game or something like that? How many people really quick have played Dungeons and Dragons before, or a role-playing game? Oh, yeah, right. We got a good solid crowd today. All right, so you know a little bit what I'm talking about. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what a role-playing game is, basically it's where a group of people sit around a table, and each of the people at that table take on the role of a hero, a character. And one of those people becomes either the game master, sometimes they're called the dungeon master. And those people, the game master, creates the setting and the challenges that the other players face. And so it's this collaborative type of game that you play. And if you're not sure about the outcome, if something risky or challenging happens, then you get to roll crazy, weird-looking dice to determine whether or not your action is successful or not. If you saw Stranger Things, you saw the kiddos in their basement playing D&D, and it was really kind of, that was the classic idea. And then this picture over here is kind of the same idea. It's a group of friends sitting around the table playing Dungeons and Dragons. And the role of the player is very simple. You sit down, you imagine what's happening in your mind, and you tell everybody at the table what you want to do. But for the game master, it's a little bit more complicated. Actually, it's a lot more complicated. Not only do you have to create the setting and the characters that they're going to interact with, but you have to know the rules well. You have to be able to facilitate and manage the meeting of these people. You're kind of the leader of the table. And you have to manage the pacing of the story as you guys are going. And so there's a lot that goes into being a dungeon master. And so because of that, not a lot of people want to do it. They want to play, but they don't want a GM. They want somebody else to do that. They want someone to run their games. And it would be nice if whoever ran their game knew what they were doing and could do it well. And so because of the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons, D&D has now become like a real popular thing. Like, I actually went to the grocery store and I saw a D&D book in the grocery store. And I just, as we're living in a different world with this, I don't know. But because of that, there are people who are willing to pay someone to run their games for them. And that is how my career began. And one other quick aside is that we talk about role-playing games and we call them Dungeons and Dragons or D&D. We always say, oh, have you played D&D? But really, there's way more role-playing games out there than just Dungeons and Dragons. And I wanted to make sure that all of you guys understood that there are thousands, tens of thousands of amazing role-playing games out there. Pretty much you name it, there's a role-playing game for it. You want to play a superhero in the Marvel Universe? Yes, we've got a game for that. You want to play in Star Wars and be a Jedi or something like that? Yes, we have a game for that. There's Avatar, there's Call of Cthulhu, there's Savage Worlds, Vampire the Masquerade, there's tons, thousands. And so it's not just Dungeons and Dragons. That's just the one that everybody talks about. So how does this work for Heart of the Tale? When you play, usually you sit around a table, you play around this table. And so you can see I've got a couple of the groups I've run for up here. And one of the places that I've teamed up with several different local game stores. And the most prominent of them is a store called The Wyvern's Tail on Merriman Avenue. It's a beautiful place, wonderful people. And I run games there once a month. And they're just one-shot games. You just come in, you play for a couple hours, have a blast, and then you learn about me, and I learn about you. And this has helped me build my client base here in Asheville. And you can also play online. There are websites dedicated to online play. One of the most powerful is called startplaying.games. And that helps people find games online that they can play on their computer, but they're still playing with people. It's not a video game, really. And so you can see up here, this is my Tuesday night group. Actually played with them last night. That picture was taken last night. And they're amazing people. They're so wonderful. One of them lives in Brazil. One of them lives in Canada. One of them lives right here in Asheville. And so we get online and we play these games together. But it's still people playing with people. And I think that's one of the biggest powers of role-playing games is that you're still sitting around with people. It's a very social thing. Let's see. Remember that? Oh, right. When I first started Heart of the Tale, I was working under the incorrect assumption that Asheville could not support my business. That there weren't enough people who wanted to be able to play. And that I was going to have a broader audience, and I was going to need to be more worldwide. And so I started mostly online. And when when I started Heart of the Tale, I was 80% of my games were online and 20% of them were in person. And over the years, I've realized that there have been many assumptions that I have made that have been incorrect. And starting to be able to identify where I've made assumptions and where I've just kind of said, oh, no, this is how it is, and be able to retract that and be able to really inquire, is this true? Has been a big, big thing for Heart of the Tale, for my business, for me personally, and realizing where I've just assumed things and challenge that. And so I challenged that, and I was like, no, I think Asheville can support my business. It is big enough, and there's tons of people out there that want to play. And so now, my in-person games, 90% is in-person, and only 10% is online. And that's what I want to do. But playing online is nice. It allows people from far away to be able to play together. But playing in person, sitting around this table, being able to look at each other and see their body language and really connect in a deeper level is so much more powerful. And so that's very important. So how did Heart of the Tale come to be? It was a slow process. It's taken a lot of time. The first time I heard about the idea of people getting paid to run D&D games was about 10 years ago. And when I heard that, I was in disbelief. I was like, no, that can't be real. Now, people getting paid to play D&D, that's got to be a pipe dream. That's not a thing. And it is. And I spent many years researching it. I was a teacher at the time. I taught string orchestra in public schools. I loved it. Look at those guys. They're just, kiddos are amazing. I love them. And I thought, no, this can't be a real thing. And so, but the more I researched it, the more I learned about it, I realized, wait, no, yes, this is a real thing. Not only are people getting paid to do this, but they're making very serious themselves, their families with this. This is a career. And so finally I decided, okay, I'll try it. I'll do it part-time. And that was about 7 years ago. And the moment I made that decision, the very next day, I got my first game. And I was floored. I was like, wow, this is it just happened immediately. And it was with these group of 6 guys in their 40s and 50s who wanted to play D&D again when they played when they were in high school and they just wanted to try it again. And we played once a month on a Sunday, and that was all. Just really part-time, real easy to dip my toes into it. And that was 7 years ago, and I still run for that group. We still play. So I was doing it part-time for about 2 years. And then 2 years after that, I decided, okay, I want to jump into this with both feet. I want to do this full-time. I want to do this all the time. This is amazing. And so I am a very cautious person. And I needed to make sure it was going to work. I needed to know this was going to work. And so I got in touch with these amazing people, this wonderful group called Mountain Bizworks. They helped my wife with her business get it off the ground. And so I knew they were great. And I went with them, I took their foundations course, and Ms. Holly Rivers was the person who was teaching that course. She's here today. Hi, Holly. After the course, she also became my mentor. She became my business coach. And she helped Heart of the Tale really take off. And I found out through foundations that, yes, this could work. The numbers work. And I could do this. I could do this for a living. And so they helped me launch Heart of the Tale. And the other person who is super, super, super important to the continued existence of Heart of the Tale and to its beginning is my beautiful wife, Tricia. She's here today, too. And She has been my mentor, my coach, my cheerleader. I think there have been times that she has wanted Heart of the Tale more than I did. And, you know, and because I think a lot of you guys, if you've been entrepreneurs or you know kind of how that works, there's a lot of doubt. And there can be a lot of frustration, and there can be a lot of, maybe I should just stop. You know, maybe this is, I don't want to do this. And those times can be very tough. But she and Holly both helped me so much to be able to say, look, no, you can do this, it's okay, this is what's going on, this is how you can fix it, and just keep going. And so I stayed the course, and Heart of the Tale continues to grow. It's been a very powerful business. So after I got done with foundations, I got my LLC and coined the term Heart of the Tale. You can see that it used to be called the Summer Storyteller. In fact, this logo was created by my son, Adrian, and then my later logo, the one I use now, has also been created by him. And he does all kinds of commissions. I'll give him commissions and hire him to create art. And so I got my LLC, and I got my LLC on July 23rd of 2021. And so when Erica from 1 Million Cups from Hatch approached me and said, hey, you can do a presentation on July 23rd, what do you think? Really? On my birthday? Yes, please. And so yeah, so this is Heart of the Tale's 4th birthday. So it's pretty amazing. So when I started Heart of the Tale, I thought, okay, well, this is great. I can play games. I can get paid to play games. This is what I want to do. I'm going to stop teaching. I'm going to play games. And I thought it was all about me. And I came to realize that it's not. When I was a teacher, the most powerful thing for me about being a teacher was to impact kids' lives. And I think you might have had somebody like that in your life, or maybe in your kid's life, where they just had this awesome teacher. And I really love that about teaching. You know, I still am in touch with a lot of my students. You know, they still can't call me Paul. They just can't help it. You know, it's Mr. Zink. So, you know, he's like 30 years old. It's Mr. Zink. So, but I started to realize that Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games wasn't just about the game. And the real reason that I was doing this wasn't just because I wanted to play and do what I love, which, again, that's something that they tell you you want to do. Do what you love. And so that's great. But that's just a small piece of the puzzle. And I realized that I was doing Heart of the Tale also to connect with other people and to help other people. And I don't know if you know this or not, but role-playing games have incredible benefits beyond just the game. They can do powerful, powerful things. I'm not going to go into all the things that they can do. I'm not going to go into all the benefits because I can talk for hours on that. We don't have that kind of time. But suffice to say, role-playing games are incredibly powerful experiences. I've had players come to me and say, thank you. Thank you so much for running this. It helps me be human. And I've actually had one person too, my best friend from high school, it saved his life, quite literally. And he came to me many years after college, and he said, you know, when we were playing D&D back then, I was ready to commit suicide. I was ready to end. And the games helped me get through that. And the stories and the triumphs and the power of this game helped him get through a rough time in his life. And so it's very, very powerful stuff. So Heart of the Tale is 4 years old. I've had some amazing experiences. I've got to meet people all around the world. I've got to run games in person, not just here, but in Charlotte, in Waynesville. I'm looking to possibly go other places pretty soon. And it's been an amazing experience. And I've had to learn so many new things, especially as a business owner. And come to all of these new ideas and new ways of doing things. And I keep on stretching myself. I keep on coming to the next level. What's next? What's new? What crazy, scary thing am I going to try to do next that I have no idea how I'm supposed to do this? One of the big ones that I want to do now, and that I'm pivoting on right now, is to be able to work with businesses and corporations to help them grow their businesses by doing team building and culture building exercises with their teams, helping their teams become stronger, closer, more tightly knit, more together. And I've actually run 2 games now for businesses, but I really want to do more of that. And so that's what I'm looking to do next. And you get these businesses who they'll bring in a inspirational speaker and they'll have everybody come sit and listen to it. Or they'll bring in some guy and they do tennis balls with cups and rubber bands, and it's like, you all have to work together to make this work. And a lot of times we just don't even want to do that. It's like, dude, that's not good. But what about the idea of you and your teammates, in your collared shirts, right? Fighting a dragon, saving a continent, learning crazy magic. That actually sounds pretty amazing. Imagine your boss went to you and said, hey, you're going to play D&D at work today. That's just amazing. And D&D has this ability to bring people together. And so this is what I want to do next. This is really where I want to see Heart of the Tale go, is to start working on helping corporations and businesses to really help their culture in their businesses. And I talked with one gentleman, I got to meet Brett McCall, who is the founder of Better Than Unicorns. And he's an amazing individual. And I just went to him saying, oh yeah, I want to do this thing. And he opened up so much more than that, because he uses Better Than Unicorns to do exactly this, to help businesses with whatever issues they have with their teams or what they want to get better at. And so I went to him and I said, oh yeah, I want to do something like that. And he said, okay, well, check this out. And he started telling me all of these very powerful outcomes, measurable outcomes that he can do with Better Than Unicorns. And it just broadened my mind. And it's just like, wow, there's so much more value to what we can do than I thought. This isn't just, oh, let's go zip lining, or oh, let's go play D&D. It's, oh, let's play this role-playing game and become better communicators, or trust each other better, or be able to get each other's backs when you're in trouble. Like, these are very powerful skills that you can use in the workplace. But this is new territory for me. I've only done a little bit of it before. I don't know it very well. And so that's one of the big hurdles, my next challenge for Heart of the Tale, is trying to figure out how to do this effectively, efficiently, and with great impact and value to the people I work for. So that's what's coming up, I think, for Heart of the Tale. And in the end, I really just want to keep reaching people and to keep trying to find ways that I can help out our community and the people here through these amazing, amazing experiences. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a great presentation. Thank you. We're going to move to Q&A, but I thought we could do a first thing in Million Cup history here, which is we usually sing happy birthday to people's birthdays. As you know, it's part of the Tale's birthday. So I thought We could all sing happy birthday to Heart and Tail. All right, okay. Everyone ready? We know the song. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Heart and Tail. Happy birthday to you. Okay, questions? Yeah.
Could you go back to putting up your slide
Yes.
with all of the good things that people don't think your business does that it does?
Cool.
You did better than it does that.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you considered taking those 7 properties that other people aren't aware that games serve and bringing that as your marketing campaign, and when people showing up flipping and saying, we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons, and this is the skill that you're looking for. When you come to Hatch, what I've found is this is the secret center hub of all businesses in Asheville, through the Chambers of Commerce, through digital nomads, through this. I would recommend hosting an event that markets those things to people, for people looking to grow those skills within inside their businesses. Inviting people to pass a dish, which brings more community and people that aren't making food to come because people love food. And then saying, this is your challenge to find this skill inside this game. And then through people playing those games, these are your little businesses. This is your organic roots to grow that into any business that's out there, because they're going to be like, I did this with people I meet that I don't really talk to. What could happen for me in my culture of business? I'm not sure if that's.
Oh, no, that sounds amazing. That is so cool. Thank you so much for that suggestion. Yeah, and you hit so many tiers too. You hit not only the more powerful aspects of what role-playing games do, but how I want to try to move into helping businesses and being seen by businesses, having that. So thank you so much for that, because that's powerful. So yes, absolutely. I'm so glad we're recording this, because I can go back and listen to exactly what you said.
I think this room, I can really feel the presence differently in listening to your presentation and to a lot of others, because when you spoke of games and different things, I think we were all able to go there. And I think, at least for me, I'd be interested in knowing how soon, since there's going to be a break for 1 million cups anyways, D&D morning here.
Oh my gosh, I have work to do. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Awesome. Right.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Will.
So you're talking about the challenge going forward, like working with businesses and stuff. What is the challenge that you faced in your first 4 years that you feel like you took away, like the big lesson that you took away? What was the challenge? What was the lesson? And how could it help everyone else here whenever they're facing a similar challenge in their entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, wonderful. That's a fantastic question. And it bloomed in my head immediately when you started to talk about it. That group of people that I told you about, who I've been running 7 years for now, they were my first professional group. And they have dubbed themselves the Merry Harpers, because the first magic item they got was a harp. It was a magic harp. So they're like, oh, we're the Merry Harpers. And a lot of them are entrepreneurs as well. And they have helped me a lot because of the adversity that they sometimes give to me. But it has been great, because it's never a mean feeling, it's never a bad feeling. It's always been so positive, but they will kind of come at me with stuff sometimes. And one of the things that I had a hard time with was, yes, I'm a good dungeon master. Yes, I know what I'm doing, but can I really make people pay me for this? And how much can I make them pay me? And that was the thing. It's like, so with the Harpers, a lot of it was, should I raise my prices? When I first started, it wasn't even peanuts. Like, it was peanut shells. And so over time, it's been, no, I need to charge more, I need to charge more, I need to charge more. And it was, no, I'm worth that. And the experience I provide, the value that it gives, is worth that. And so I think that was one of the biggest things, was can I grow part of the tail and be confident about what I'm asking of people. And so in that, again, a lot of that with Trisha and Holly, where they were like, yes, you can raise your prices. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, I think. Or lean into it. Like, you can be afraid. That's fine. But lean into it and go for it.
Own your self-worth, that's what I'm hearing.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, Paul. First of all, I just want to say that my daughter Olive was one of your students in your last couple of years. And, I remember Olive loved you, and I remember when she told me that you weren't coming back, and I said, "What's he going to do?" And she said, "I don't know. He's going to like play games and get paid." So I'm really glad to have heard this story because now it finally makes sense. Because I was like, dude, how is he like getting money?
Yeah, what is that?
But also, so I have like my own kind of sideline, and I'm, and I'm curious to know. I know you talked about it a little bit, but like, what was like, what had to happen for you to get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to take the leap and leave my steady paying job, which I realize is very little. I used to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, what made you be willing to let go of that and take that leap and take the chance of like, will this make it or not?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the number one thing was foundations. I think for me, I had to know this would work. I couldn't just look at other people's stories and be like, wow, well, they're making $10,000 a month. Maybe I should just do this. And that wasn't enough. Hear stories, that's fine, that's great. Good for them. Can I make this happen? And Foundations did that for me. The Foundations course really takes you through all the nuts and bolts. And they make it where, can your idea succeed? It's like, yeah, it's a great idea, but can you actually make money? Is this something viable? And so that was a big part of it. The other part was that, again, my wife was like, this is your dream, go for it, you should do this. It's working so far, do more. And then the last part was that I created a strategy. Teachers, they have the 2 weeks in the summertime where they don't get paid. But in a way, if you set it up right, they do get paid. You basically skim a little bit from each of the other months so that you get those 2 months and get paid. And so I took Foundations in the spring, thinking that if this was viable, I would go ahead and quit my job at the end of that year, and then use those 2 months to help ramp up and get myself going. And then on top of that, we also built up a nest egg. And so we had quite a bit of cash set aside, knowing that probably the first year, I wasn't going to be able to make enough. So having a strategy, it's like, okay, well, how can we make sure we have food? How can we make sure we're paying our mortgage? How can we make sure that this all still happens? And so they're very much in the plan. But it was still, even with all that, it was still super scary. And I think if I hadn't had so many people, not just Holly and Trisha, but so many people say, yes, you can do this, I don't think I would have done it. Like my cousin, he was just like, he was so excited. He was like, yeah, I'll be your marketer, and we'll do this thing, and we'll do that thing, and blah, blah, blah. And so it was great. The enthusiasm has been amazing. And I do want to say, too, when I left teaching, it wasn't because I didn't like teaching. I loved my job. I got to play music with kids. Like, it's so good. And so it really was where I was leading from a positive, going into another positive. And so that was very important to me as well. But yeah, there was a plan. There was a plan. And again, Foundations helped me.
Good morning, Paul. Fascinating. I'm thinking about your plan to scale up. So let's say at some point you can't do any more than you're already doing. What's your scale up?
And actually, part of the scale-up plan is working with businesses, because, you know, gosh, how do I say it not be crass? They have more working capital, you know, like they can afford a higher price point. And I think that's something that Heart of the Tales had to figure out over time. I've had to figure that out for my business. You know, like I said, when I first started running, I was not making any money, really, very little. And then I was like, okay, well, this is what I have to charge. Mountain Disworks helped me figure that out. This is what you have to charge to get your cost per hour. So I jumped up that, and I was able to do that. And then after that, I was like, well, okay, no, but here's where you have to raise your prices now. And so I've done that, and it's working, it's great. And now it's like, well, how can you go a step further? Where can you scale up again? And so this is kind of where that is. And I've actually heard a lot of people talk about how they help businesses in this way. And actually, one of the people I was following, that's actually what he did. He was running for private folks, but he said he wanted to get into the corporate sector because he knew that was going to be where the cash was. And so he scaled it that way. I have had people say, hey, well, what if you were the mentor for a group of dungeon masters? And, you know, you were kind of the head person who helped a collaborative group go out there and do this, and then, you know, possibly figuring out where the percentages are and where the cuts are and all that. And so that's an amazing idea. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I don't think I'm there. I only know like 2 or 3 other professional GMs in Asheville, and they very much are just doing it on the side. And so I think right now, as far as scale up, I think it would be going into businesses and helping them. And I've also really wanted to explore the idea of doing D&D as therapy, because there's a lot of that. And I don't know what that would look like. I don't know, can I support my family by becoming a therapist using role-playing games? So, but that would be something where I could really help people. So, I don't know.
Okay, time for 2 more questions.
All right.
Yeah, so as a victim of really poorly thought out corporate activities, I personally would love, I work in tech, lots of nerds in tech. I would love to suggest this to my manager as our next team building activity for our offsite in November. I do have some logistical questions. So my team is 12 people, and running a D&D table with 12 people sounds really hard. Like, what is your plan around that? And I guess that leads to the question of what is the difference between like doing corporate D&D and then just like D&D for fun?
Yeah.
And then also, are you willing to fly out and do in person? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So let me go through the questions really fast. So the first one was, how could you deal with a group of 12 people? And you're right, 12 people at a table is far too many. And so what I would plan is I'd break it up into 2 groups. And so I'd run for a group of 6. And then after their game was done, I'd run for the other group of 6. And I'd pile on the same exact adventure. So that way, when they got together, when you guys got together afterwards, you'd be like, oh, you did that too? You know, or oh, why didn't you talk to the dragon? You know, whatever. So that's one. I thought a lot about that one, because I know most companies like, oh, it's 30 people. How are you going to do that? The other question has to do with being able to run for a corporation versus just in-person private stuff. And one of the things that I was told was, if you can pull your sessions down to just 2 hours, then you become far more marketable. And you can have a 2-hour version, you can have a 3-hour version, you can have a 5-hour version. And then the company can choose which one they pick. And trying to boil, if any of you guys have ever played a role-playing game, trying to boil all that down into just 2 hours is a feat unto itself. And I am ready for that challenge. I actually just read an article about running a 90-minute D&D session. And it was very insightful, it's very cool, and a lot of it made sense to me. And so I do have plans on how to do that. So I'm excited for that. And then the last question was, am I cool with flying out? And the answer is yes. Last year, 2 years ago, I was approached by somebody over email from Charlotte. And he said, hey, I really want to get my friends into D&D. I want them to love it. I don't want to just get somebody off the street. I want somebody good. If you come out to Charlotte, I will pay for your mileage, I will pay for your hotel, I will pay for your per diem, I will pay for the game, I'll pay for everything. And yeah, and I quoted him a really high price. And he didn't blink. And he was like, good. And I'm still running for that. And so like the year after that, they wanted another one. And then they said, well, can we do it online in between? Like we're still gonna do our yearly in person, but can we play online too? So as far as flying out to somewhere, absolutely yes. They said that same group said, hey, we're gonna go to Mexico City next year. Do you want to come?
I said, not without me.
I said, wait, can you take my wife too? she's my, she takes all the pictures and she'll do the recording and all that stuff. So yeah.
Great, thank you. Last question.
Yay.
I want to encourage you to dream bigger than you're dreaming. I think this is a potentially huge high-growth business. The audiences that you could potentially tap, seniors and elderly. The loneliness is so real. Your ability to host groups for those people, even just here in Asheville, Hendersonville area, so many people have moved here to retire. And they don't want to golf and they don't want to hike. They want something. That's one market. As an adolescent guide to work with adolescent people, you don't even have to call yourself a therapist. Outward bound just is not considered therapy, but if you don't think that's therapeutic, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have to go down that route. You could just do it and allow the therapeutic elements to unfold. Yes, corporate, but here's the deal, friend. Somebody is going to be the Uber of Dungeons and Dragons. Why not you?
Yay.
A ton of game masters here. My brother-in-law is one who lives in Colorado. There's a network of people that just haven't been tapped and organized yet. And there's a ton of teachers and social workers and all kinds of folks who love to supplement their income and run one game a week.
Or even their teaching. I've seen a lot of teachers use RPGs in their teaching.
So maybe I don't have a question. I have a vision, and I want to encourage you to live into it, even though it's going to scare your hands off. And that's what the journey is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for mentioning the senior citizens because I can wholeheartedly agree with that. I've had experiences there too with my own family, and so yeah, I can see that being a huge.
And some of them have money.
A lot of them do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, everyone, let's give a big round of applause. Okay, here comes the wrap up. Let's see here. Smooth transition. All right, it's like 5 seconds flat. Okay. Thank you, as always, to our event sponsors. Thank you to Charlie and Troy Ball, who generously donated this space every single week. Western Carolina University SCORE for the life of your business. The U.S. Entrepreneurial Operating Systems. DRC Broadband. Mountain BizWorks. Also got an awesome organic shout out today, so that's cool. Antwerp Coworking. Dynamo Instant Coffee. Generously provided coffee we all drink. The Brookshire Garside Group. That's a mouthful. There, Bible Management, and Goldman Sachs. Okay. Oops. If you want a name tag, we're doing name tags. It's just a fun way to kind of support the Million Cups community. It's $50, and you can ask any of the co-organizers. That way, we don't have to paper.
Starts in September.
Oh, thanks, I didn't know that. It starts in September, so. Nice, hey, what's a community board? This is old, so we're gonna skip it. Okay, do you want to sponsor 1 million cups? There you go. QR code, you want to present? There you go. Okay, there's 2 things. One, you're pointing.
Ray has some keys that were left out on the table.
Public service.
Oh, okay, great. Who forgot their keys? This is, I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay. Just like jingle it and someone, there you go. Okay. So we're gonna take a photo as we normally do to kind of celebrate this presentation. But I do want to give the mic to. There's going to be a wonderful event in 10 minutes here, and so Amy is going to come briefly give a word about what she's presenting on. So please warm up, Amy.
Those are studio lights, yes. Hi, I'm Amy Bastian with MC Idea. I'm going to be talking about grants that we have for startups. We have an upcoming fall cycle for $10,000 and $50,000 grants for scalable businesses in North Carolina. So if you're interested, stick around.
Great. Okay, and that's happening in 10 minutes. So just don't go anywhere. You can just stay. Okay, and so.
You should